everybody, welcome to another Chew Chat. I am Justine Dorn and this is Ron Rayfield.
Hi everybody.
And this is some chicken noodle soup. Now I bet you guys are wondering, okay, what are they going to eat on the Chew Chat since we didn't do a cooking video this week? Well, we still eat every day no matter what, and we didn't want to do a Chew Chat without the chewing part, so we just whipped up some good old-fashioned chicken noodle soup so we would have something to eat on camera as we talk about today's topic.
That's right.
Which is going to be...
bathroom. Or baths.
Baths!
Baths.
Skincare in the early 1800s.
Don't you look beautiful?
And no, it wasn't just soap and lard. And yes, you do look beautiful.
I'm all clean and freshened up.
Yes, I am. Okay, guys, so let's get into this and let's serve up some chicken noodle soup. Because, you know, it's cold out and we just wanted to eat something. Ooh.
Yummy broth.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
They had chicken soup back then. They had noodles back then.
So, maybe?
So maybe they had chicken noodle soup back then? It's just they didn't write these things down, so it's hard to say.
We did one, but it had rice in it.
Yeah, they had chicken rice soup back then. Maybe one day I'll find a receipt for chicken noodle soup from the early 1800s and I'll make it. But this is just our own.
Well, ready to pray?
Yes, please.
Here we go. Lord, thank you for this delicious meal that Justine has prepared. We pray that this year be a good year and everybody else has a great new year. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Depending on when you're watching this video, this is our first video of 1823.
1823.
Yeah,
Yes.
1823.
I'm thirsty. Can you pass the thing, please?
Okay, so the #1 top secret skincare recipe of this time period, as you probably already know, is virgin's blood. And so we have prepared some here today. And okay, it's cranberry juice.
Are you serious? Are you being serious?
No.
It ain't Halloween.
This is not Elizabeth Bathory here.
Oh yeah, she was a weirdo.
A little bit. She's not from our time period, though.
She's from the 1500s, right?
I think so, yeah. It is not wine. We do not drink.
I love cranberry juice.
I love cranberry juice, too.
Yes, there was cranberry juice back then, too. There were cranberries back then, too. You squish them, and you filter out the pulp. If you don't like the pulp, then you drink it. Well,
I came across an 18th century book that said that the settlers were basically obsessed with cranberries. Okay, now on to the chicken noodle
that's
soup.
good.
Yep.
Hot and yummy. So since we did not show this, I'll tell you what's in it, though. It's got noodles, obviously. You can use any shape of noodle of your choice, whether it be straight, short, long, fat, curly, twisty. These are the twisty ones. We cut up some carrots and celery and some onions. We had some chicken that we had boiled and shredded, pulled apart. We threw it in a pot with some chicken stock, which is what we pulled the chicken in, and some salt and pepper. And that's it. Pretty simple.
Carrot, celery, onions in there.
It's delicious.
The classics can sometimes be the best.
And we did put a little bit of butter. You can put a little bit of butter or olive oil if you can afford it, but butter gives it a little silkiness.
Yeah.
But hey, this is hot. You know what else is hot? That bath. Funny thing is, off camera, we had that water boiling over here, and I poured up the bath, and Justine said, it's too hot.
I put my foot in it and I said, nope. And
she finally met her match.
And that's coming from me because I'm the kind of person that I could probably bathe in a cauldron over the fire.
Yeah.
But that was some hot water. But so he had to pour just a whole bucket of cold water in there for it to be tolerable.
I went down to the creek and got a bucket of ice cold water because it's January, so the water's cold. And that made it tolerable.
Yep.
But I just thought it was funny because she loves hot water, but she couldn't stand it. She met her match finally.
I take baths so hot, you could cut carrots and celery and turnips in there and call it a soup.
Well, they steam like this.
Yeah, they steam. So, speaking of skincare and whatnot, what are your guys' preperceived notions about skincare in the early 1800s?
Lard.
Lard.
Butter.
Butter. Butter?
Fat. Bacon grease.
Bacon grease?
Yeah, smeared on there.
So lard and soap, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're not actually wrong there. A lot of skincare products of this time period did have lard in them.
But that's probably the lower end of products, right?
No.
Oh.
All of them did.
Oh, okay.
Whether you were poor or if you were rich, it was pretty common to have lard as the main ingredient, whether it was in hair pomades, face and skin lotions, lip balms. It was in everything. Lard, tallow, mutton tallow was especially popular. I guess it was kind of their version of shea butter, which is in everything now.
Mm.
And I will say I have tried lard creams and lard-based pomades before from actual period recipes, and they work surprisingly well, and they don't smell. So the recipes would have usually said add essence of lemon or essence of lavender or something like that in there, essence of orange. So it makes your hair smell like lemons.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it actually smells really, really good. You don't smell the lard, but the problem is that lard is very sensitive to temperature. So if you go out in the hot summer sun in the middle of July around here, it will kind of melt in your hair a little bit and you will start to have a slightly buttery smell. Speaking from experience, because I did try it once.
Smells like bacon in here.
Yeah, pretty much. And then if it's freezing cold outside, it might have little white flakes in your hair. But for normal temperatures, I'm talking anything from 20 degrees Fahrenheit to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, it actually works really, really well.
I can't speak because I ain't got much hair, so.
So as you all saw on the video from Early American, which watch that before you watch this video, this is kind of like a companion video to that one. There's a lot more to early 1800s skincare than just lard and pork fat. Or mutton tallow. People had the same skin problems back then that we do now. They had pimples, they had rosacea, eczema, dry, flaky skin, oily skin, redness, whatever it is. They had the same problems back then too. So it's been a very long desire for humans to have, at least culturally at the time and the location, what they perceive to be beautiful skin. And there are all sorts of these lotions and potions that do differentiate. They are different depending on your region, for sure, because it's what you can get your hands on. But in Europe and in America, they were pretty much similar, at least as far as England goes. In America, they were pretty similar skincare. And so we made a face cream, which is right here. And it has 3 ingredients in it. This one's from the 1830s. It's from 1832. From a book that I really, really like. And I'm going to read you some more recipes from that book, actually, that are to get rid of pimples. Because all of us out there have had pimples at one point or another. Now, this is a pretty heavy cream because it's just oil and beeswax, really. So this is for someone who has really dry skin.
My forehead does get dry from wearing the hat all day. Did I rub it in there, or is it white?
Yeah, no, you rubbed it in fine, but it's actually pretty incredible how that feels. It feels like just a modern skincare cream for someone who has very dry skin. But there's no downside to it, really. It doesn't smell weird. It's not sticky.
It has no smell whatsoever.
Yeah, it has no smell. Now, back then, you would have made most of your own skincare at home. You would have bought a lot of the ingredients, but you would have made it usually at home. And because there's no preservatives in it, they made very small quantities of skincare at a time. So for the quantity that's in there, I actually had to triple it from the original receipt.
How's that?
Wow, okay, yeah. He looks 20 years younger.
Oh. Let me put some more on.
Well, no. Your skin looks, and it feels really hydrated.
You got a lid?
Yep, I have a lid right here. And you can use it on your hands.
Oh, yeah. See how the consistency of that?
Rubs in right away. I'm pretty
Nice.
impressed. So, you know, I guess life in the 1830s, as far as your skin goes, wouldn't have been too bad.
Man.
Not bad. Yeah, it rubs right on in. It's really, really moisturizing.
Doesn't really feel that greasy either.
No, it doesn't really feel all that greasy somehow.
And which ingredients are in that one?
Oh yeah, okay, so this is a white wax, which back then would have meant really purified beeswax, so white beeswax. And also almond oil, which almonds were in everything skincare related for at least 50 years by this period. People were kind of obsessed with almonds. And then the final ingredient, which you can no longer buy today, is called spermaceti. And that's actually whale oil.
Oh.
Yep, it's the oil that's in the head of a sperm whale. And that used to be in everything. Everything.
Kind of like today, soybean oil or vegetable oil is in everything.
It's in everything. Yeah, I guess you could say that. But nowadays, obviously, that's illegal. And so a close substitute that most people have access to is jojoba oil.
Jojoba?
Jojoba oil. Jojoba oil.
Sounds like something a caveman.
And so spermaceti is a very waxy feeling oil. It feels like human sebum. And jojoba oil also is a waxy oil that feels like human sebum. So it's pretty close to it. It's not going to be 100% obviously. Some people say if you mix certain kinds of alcohol with jojoba oil, it feels more like spermaceti. But for all of you guys out there, you're not really going to do that. Just get jojoba oil. It feels as close as you can realistically get it, and it's the cheapest substitute.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So, how about acne pimple treatments from the early 1800s? What do you think those are going to be?
Oh, I'm going to say put lemon juice on your face.
It's actually not a bad guess.
But you could put lemon juice with lard
logic.
maybe so it stays on there instead of rubbing off, so it's like lemony. But maybe.
I see the logic. I see it. And a lot of you guys out there are probably thinking, oh, they put mercury. They put mercury on their face and that's how they got rid of the pimples.
They did use mercury for certain stuff like that, and people died.
Yes. But you know what's so weird? People back then knew that those lead-based face paints were toxic.
Really?
They knew that it was. I've seen so many books of the time period say, do not use those. It'll make your teeth fall out. It'll give you cancers and disorders of the liver and such. So people knew that they were toxic, and then they would suggest instead to use rice powder, which they'd say was perfectly harmless. Just use ground up rice. But humans have not changed in thousands of years. We use stuff on us and do things to us that is bad for us, but we don't care.
They used to have these things called beauty patches, or that's what I'm going to call them. They were like the mole. Like they would paint a spot on their face and to hide a scar or a pimple or a blemish.
Smallpox scar or a pimple.
But if you walk around with a bunch of those dots all over your face painted on there, they're going to think there's something wrong with you. One's okay. Two, but more than that, okay, you're just covering something up.
And those were
Get away from me.
Those were no longer fashionable by our time period, by the way.
Right.
And lead paint was starting to fall out of favor, but it was not completely extinct in the early 1800s. I've even seen books at the time say that it's okay to wear makeup. But there were some social groups of people that thought that makeup was associated with prostitution. And,
I see that point.
Yeah. And not being pure, because they thought if you were putting on makeup, you were a vain person. And that's kind of a thinking that started in the 19th century and just got worse and worse and worse as we went to the Victorian period. And by the Victorian period, wearing makeup was even more taboo. Makeup has really come and gone out of style throughout history. I mean, in the 18th century, makeup was very fashionable, and sometimes even very obviously fake, gaudy-looking makeup.
I know some of the men used to wear it. They do that rosy cheek thing. Really weird.
Well, the woman would do it too.
That looks okay on the women, but when the men do it, come on, man.
And then starting about the 1790s, maybe late 1780s, but especially the 1790s, makeup started to fall out of fashion, and the trends changed crazy. I mean, the powdered wigs for men went away.
Yeah.
Powdered faces for women started to go away. Very obvious rouge started to go away on your cheeks. Patches were gone, mostly. It was considered old-fashioned by the 1800s to wear patches. I'm sure someone out there still did it. I've seen satirical prints from the time showing old women having patches on their face, so I guess some people clung onto it.
Yeah.
But as we go through the 19th century, it gets more and more taboo. And then we hit the 1920s, and makeup is super fashionable again. So, yeah, and it's been fashionable ever since. And they say cinema really influenced that makeup coming back because the actors would wear a lot of makeup on camera.
I could see that.
Hand me that book, Ron.
Yes. May I have the drink, please?
Yes, you may have the drink.
Thank you.
So I know all you guys out there are dying to know, what are some early 1800s cures for pimples? And will they work for you?
We'll see if I was right.
Let's see. So here's the very first one, and it's kind of the weirdest one I got for you. A word that I can never pronounce, pomatum, to remove redness or pimples in the face. Steep in clear water a pound of boar's cheek till it becomes tolerably white. Drain it quite dry and put it into a new glazed earthen pan with 2 or 3 hard pipkins, quartered. 1.5 ounces of the 4 cold seeds, bruised, and a slice of veal about the size of the palm of your hand. Boil the whole together in a vapor bath for 2 hours, then with a strong cloth, squeeze out your pomatum into an earthen dish, placed upon hot ashes, and to it 1 ounce of white beeswax and 1 ounce of the oil of sweet almonds. Stir it with a wooden spatula until it becomes cold. Wow, that is a very anti-vegan friendly pimple cure.
That just sounds disgusting.
Yeah, okay, so I tried my best to decipher this.
I love veal, but not on my skin.
Some things I'm a little, I'm not quite sure about. So I think it's trying to say you take boar's lard. You take the lard from a wild pig. Now, pipkins back then, that was a kind of apple. So you take lard, you take apples, and I think it's trying to say you take the seeds from the apples as well, and you boil together in a bowl of water for 4 hours, the lard, the apples, the crushed up apple seeds, and a slice of veal. You boil it for 4 hours. Then you put it into a cloth, you squeeze out that juice, you put the juice in another pot over some coals until it just simmers a little bit, and then you mix in some white beeswax and some almond oil, and you stir it really good until it's melted, and then you take it off the fire and keep on stirring until it cools and it hardens into a cream. A cream made out of veal juice and lard and apples. How in the world would that help acne? That doesn't make any sense.
That'd make it worse, I think.
Okay, so guys, do you think that would work for your acne? Yay or nay?
I don't think so.
How about this next one? It's from the same book. It's from the 1830s. It's called For a Red or Pimpled Face. Take 2 part apples, celery, and fennel, of each a handful, and barley meal, 1/4 ounce. Simmer the whole together 1/4 hour in a gill of rose water, then add 1 ounce of fine barley meal, the whites of 4 new laid eggs, and 1 ounce of deer suet. Strain them through a canvas bag into a dish that contains a little bit of rose water, and afterwards beat it into a mortar perfectly smooth. It's saying apply frequently through the day. It removes the redness of the face, pimples, and even freckles. But to answer the last mentioned purpose, it must be continued till they are entirely effaced. To prevent their return, the person must shun the intense heat of the sun and dry, hot winds for some time.
This is complicated.
So apples cure acne apparently, because there were apples in almost every single pimple recipe I could find.
Maybe the acidity in it did something.
Maybe.
Or apple cider vinegar. Maybe the apples do something.
Maybe apples do something for acne. So here's my translation of this. Boil together some apples, celery, fennel, barley, a quarter of an hour, and don't just boil it in water. You're going to boil this in rose water.
Ew.
Then you want to add more barley, the whites of 4 fresh eggs, and some deer suet, which is going to give it some hardness, kind of like the lard would. Then you take this liquid and you're going to strain it through a cloth so that it removes all the solids, and you strain the juice into a bowl that already has a little bit of fresh cold rose water in it. You mix it until it's really smooth and it's a cream. And you're not supposed to apply it just once a day. You're supposed to apply it multiple times a day. And if you're trying to cure freckles, like those caused by the sun, you have to apply it every day, multiple times a day, until the freckles are gone.
What if they never go away?
Then keep applying it forever.
Jeez, just live with it.
You're a man, you don't understand, Ron. You don't understand these things.
I was actually very fortunate to not have an acne problem when I was growing up.
Not me.
And I will be honest with you, some will cringe on this, so be it. I shower about every other day. I'm clean, I don't stink. I don't mean it that way. What I mean is, my face is not being stripped daily. Some people, and I feel really bad because they use so many products to try to strip their face so they get the oils off. I have not had an acne problem, and
All
I've been
you
very
women
blessed.
out there, you know what I mean when you hear, how come you use 10 products on your face and then a man just washes with a bar of soap and he has perfectly clear skin?
I don't even use a soap. I just use whatever shampoo I've used.
Oh, he's such a man.
Unless I've been changing oil or something and I got grease on me, then sure. But hot water and, you know, a little bit of bubbles does enough for me. But, I mean, look at my skin from that stuff. I'm shiny like I've been waxed.
Like he's been waxed? Like an apple?
Yeah, I'm shiny like a piece of fruit. Because they dip them in wax or whatever.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I mean, you're shiny too. Isn't my forehead shiny?
Ding, ding, ding.
Is it shiny?
Ding.
I think so.
So Ron has revealed to you his top secret skincare routine.
Don't overdo it.
Yeah, don't overdo it.
Obviously, if you got junk on your face, wash it off. But
Yeah.
don't go to bed dirty, but you don't have to strip your skin every day. It's bad for you.
Right. You know, I mentioned this to Ron a bit ago. I said, you know how funny and ironic this is? Back in our time period, people did bathe way more frequently than media makes you think they did. There's this stereotypical myth that people only bathed once a year until when? I don't know, the 1950s. There isn't really a cutoff for this. They just say, people in the past bathed once a year in the olden days. What the heck is the olden days, you know?
If you did that, you would have worms and all kinds of junk going on.
You'd have a rash.
Yeah, your butt would have a rash on it and you'd have worms coming out your butt. Okay? Now, there might have been some drunk, piss-ass poor guy in London in 1815 that smelled like a sewer because he did not take a bath, but he's so drunk and doesn't care. But as far as regular folk go, we're probably bathing once a week. You're definitely washing your smelly parts, you know, every day. Or going to the creek and getting, you know, wet.
Yeah.
But so I'm sure there's somebody that didn't have access to a bathtub, but they're drunk. They're
Drunk.
very bottom of the barrel person. Even soldiers were expected to wash, like, you know,
full body
once a week, and that's bare minimum to keep hygiene clean.
Yes.
So I don't want to hear that. Oh, they didn't take a shower.
They only bathed once a year.
They'd have bark growing on them or moss growing on them. It's crazy. They'd have corns all over their body if they didn't bathe for a year. You know what a corn is, right?
Is it that?
No.
The thing you...
It
have bark growing on.
It's basically like bark. It's like a hard pimple that forms like a wart thing, and you gotta like cut it off or something.
They'd have
or burn it off.
They'd have potatoes growing behind their ears from all the dirt.
Yeah.
Okay, so after looking at so many of these books published in the time period, how did people bathe themselves? How often did they actually do it? Okay, so every single day you were expected to give yourself a sink bath. That's what I call it.
A bucket bath.
A bucket bath. Every single day if you were a normal person, you were expected to do that. So what I mean by that is you would wash your face with a rag or a sponge. You would wash your armpits, maybe you'd wash your arms, and you would wash your genitals and your hands. So that you would wash every single day, that was expected of you for basic hygiene in this time period in the early 1800s.
Yeah, otherwise you get problems.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is where this whole thing comes about where people say they only bathe once a year. Full body baths where you were completely immersed in water were rarer, like once every 1 to 2 weeks. Because it is so hard to haul all of that water and to heat all of that water. So people back then, I've seen in books where it would say like you could get pneumonia if you're not really careful or if you take too many baths. Because oftentimes by the time you were done hauling the water and pouring it in and you were halfway through your bath, the water was cold. And if you did that too often, like every day, you would get pneumonia, or at least you would get some kind of illness, I'm sure, from bathing in cold water. Yeah, I know some people out in Siberia, they do ice baths, but for your common everyday Joe, especially for children and babies, that could be pretty dangerous. So a sink bath every single day, rain or shine. Full body baths only once a week or once every fortnight, and that's about as often as people wash their hair too. They wash it usually once every 2 weeks. And in the meantime, they would use dry shampoo. Yep, they did have dry shampoo.
What's dry shampoo, by the way? I'm a dude, I don't know what dry shampoo is.
Dry shampoo is a powder. It can be made out of any sort of thing. Nowadays, it's often made out of cornstarch. And you take it and you rub it on your scalp and it's absorbent. So it soaks up the grease on your scalp. Oh. So you don't have to take a shower and wash your hair every single day if you have greasy scalp.
So it just stays in there?
Yeah, it just stays in there. I don't use dry shampoo.
And you all thought I was gross because I said I shower every other day because I'm a busy man. But that sounds gross.
Some people make it work, okay? Now, for me, I have super dry skin from head to toe. I have a really dry scalp and dry hair, so I never need to use dry shampoo.
Same here. My head's really dry.
Yeah, I have really dry hair, so I never really make grease.
Well, that's fascinating. And it got me looking up some stuff, and I found that they even had carriages for baths that they would take to the beach. And I'm sure they would pay a price for this.
Of course.
If it was a public service or not. I'm sure there were private ones too, but there's these wagons that got like this chute off the back with canvas, like a tent off the back of it, so they'd back right up to the water. Do that. You'd go into the wagon from the dirt side, the shore side, take your clothes off inside, and go down inside the tent and take a private bath in the ocean. Yeah, you could have bathed completely naked. Or you could have bathed with a chemise on. Yeah. And they did that for modesty's sake, so you wouldn't just get undressed on the beach and then walk into the water. I thought that was really neat. That is pretty neat. I'd never seen that before until I did a little bit of research on bathing in our time period. So what did people think caused pimples in our time period? Smoke. Do you remember in the last receipt that at the very end it said, to prevent their return, the person must shun the intense heat of the sun and hot, dry winds. So back then, they did know that the sun caused freckles to form, but they also thought that intense heat caused pimples. I can kind of see that because if your skin is inflamed and damaged, it can actually cause more inflammation in your skin, which can lead to pimples. So they were, blisters. That's another thing. That's not really pimples, but of course it could cause blisters too. So
Remember also I said that they knew that white face paint was toxic for you?
Mm-hmm.
This is from the very same book of white paint. White paints are extracted from minerals more or less pernicious, but always corrosive. Mineral paints affect the eyes, change the texture of the skin, producing pimples. Paint also causes erythemas, attacks on the teeth, makes them ache, destroys the enamel, and loosens them. It heats the mouth and throat, infecting and corrupting the saliva. Lastly, it penetrates through the pores of the skin, acting by degrees on the cellular substances of the lungs and inducing pulmonary complaints.
That's really bad stuff.
Yeah, so
Wow.
they knew that white face paint, which we now know had lead and sometimes mercury in them, they knew that these things were toxic for you, but honestly, a lot of people were just very stubborn about it, and we are today as well, very stubborn about putting things on our bodies, are having certain kinds of plastic surgeries that they say have a really high risk associated with them. But all for the sake of vanity, people still do it.
Well, even deodorant has aluminum. Aluminum is bad for us.
That's what some people say, yeah, in deodorants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what some people say. So this is not going to be the last skincare related video that we do. This isn't even the first one. If you go back to my channel, I've made a couple different skincare products on my channel before. It's just a really interesting way to get a full picture of how people lived back then. I mean, food is one aspect to it as well, but skincare is just so dang interesting, you know? I mean, maybe because I'm a girl, I don't know. It's just so fascinating to me how skincare and hair care has changed over hundreds of years.
Next time I'm gonna bathe. I'm just kidding.
Oh!
I'm just kidding.
Hide!
Nobody wants to see that.
Well, do you have anything else to say, Ron?
Well, we hope you all had a great New Year. We
Yeah.
did a little New Year's celebration, and we attended the
We're having a hard time
Laguiné.
pronouncing things today.
Laguiné. It is an old medieval French tradition for New Year's that is only practiced in 2 towns in the United States that we know of today. Which is St. Genevieve, that was founded in 1735, and Prairie de Rocher, where Fort de Chartres is, in 1722.
Yes.
It's a French celebration of the poor going around and dancing and singing, performing
They go knock.
for food. Kind of like a trick or treat.
They knock on each door of every person and they ask for food, and they come out and they dance and sing for the food.
Yeah.
And you guys might do it at home. We're talking about the only towns that do it, where like the whole town gets together and does it.
I could see somewhere in Canada maybe doing it still, and then maybe somebody in New Orleans knows what we're talking about. But other than that, regular French people probably won't know. They also spoke Paw French, which is a slang to the French over in Europe.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
a different language.
It's like what we speak here in the United States versus Australia. They have different words that we don't know what they mean.
Times 100.
Yeah, times 100 maybe.
Right. So they go from door to door and they sing in Paw French, which was a language that was very common in this area, and still to this day you can hear it everywhere in St. Gen. If you come down for any kind of festival here, there will not be normal concerts. There'll be a guy singing up there singing in Paw French.
Yeah.
So it's a very important part of the culture and history of St. Genevieve is that language.
Hey, we got one more thing to say.
Oh.
Actually, I got 2 more things to say.
Oh.
So we have an event coming up, and it is for the St. John Militia, and we'd like to invite all of you guys to come to that.
Yes,
please. It is this spring. You can see the date right here on the flyer. And I got one more thing to say.
Oh, what is it?
An update on our cat.
Oh my gosh!
Turns out it's a boy. Now it's black. It's hard to see things down there, so I just thought, yeah, it's a girl. And so we went to go get her taken care of at the local vet, and the vet just kind of chuckled and said, "It's a boy, and it's been fixed already."
Yeah.
So we shamelessly walked out of there laughing.
Yeah, so we went to get our new cat Mish Mish fixed, and we went to the vet, and the vet said, "Are you sure it's a girl?" And we said, "Yeah." And Ron even said,
I'm sure. I'm real sure.
Ron said,
"Well, I ain't blind."
That's literally what you said. He said, "Well, I ain't blind. I can see it's a girl." And then the vet lifts up the tail, and she says, "Oh, we won't be needing to do this procedure today. It's a boy, and he's already fixed." We said, "What?" And even her, she said, "I've never seen a full-grown male cat that's this small and affectionate." Because Mish Mish is apparently 1.5 years old, roughly.
Judging by its teeth.
Yeah. And the vet checked the cat for a chip. There was no chip. But no one in this area chips cats anyway.
No, this ain't the city.
Yeah, this ain't the city. The humane societies do that, but we don't really have those around here.
No.
But she did say that there is a program in town where they will pick up stray cats from the street, they'll spay and neuter them, and then they'll put them back on the street. But that's to prevent more stray animals from reproducing in the future. So we think that this is one of those that was picked up off of the street, was fixed, and then dumped back on the street.
But he was really wanting home, so he came home with us.
Yeah, he came home with us.
But he's just the friendliest cat you'd ever see.
Yeah.
Nice, too.
Yeah, he is the friendliest cat ever. And you know, it's so funny because the very first day that we had Mish Mish, I lifted up the tail because we were trying to figure it out, and I said, "I think Mish Mish is a boy," because I thought I saw something, but Ron said,
"No, that ain't none of that."
"That's this."
Well, I thought it was something else. I thought, so when we cut cows and horses, the whole thing is gone. On the cat, apparently it's still left behind a little bit of the skin.
External.
So I thought, okay, it's a girl, because there's just a bulge down there.
Yeah.
Not that kind of bulge, a different kind of bulge, right below the butt on the cat. So I thought, okay, it's a girl. No.
So Mish Mish is a boy. So all you guys out there that were saying she's in heat and she's pregnant,
You're wrong.
you were wrong.
And I was wrong.
We were wrong. We were wrong. And I've been looking all over the place for missing cat posters and online too, because St. Genevieve has a Facebook group where they post everything and anything, including missing cats. I've been checking it since we got Mish Mish, and no one has posted anything about a missing black cat. So I'm pretty confident that she's just a stray, unfortunately, that was picked up by this program. Oh my gosh, I keep doing that. Picked up, fixed, and put back on the street. Because the vet said that that's a very common thing, that there's like this whole program there that they do it. And there was no chip.
You know, you have one more thing to mention.
Is it the rooster?
Yeah, you gave it away.
We got a rooster.
Colonel Sanders.
We got Colonel Sanders, so you guys might think I thought you already had a rooster. Well, we thought we did.
So too.
We thought we did, but now they're about 6 months old. I'm looking at this thing. That is not a rooster.
And it's dirt napping and clucking like a hen, and
it doesn't have the appearance of a rooster. It don't crow like a rooster.
Doesn't have the thing on top.
Yeah, so when we got it, this guy sexed him for us, and he's like, you know, it's really hard to sex him at this age, but I'm pretty sure that that's a rooster. Nope, it was a hen. It was the biggest hen in the group, but it's a hen.
So now we got a big old rooster. He's white.
We got a rooster.
He's a French breed.
Yeah, he's a French breed.
Apparently, they're known for their marbled meat.
Yeah, they're marbled meat.
Got more fat on them, and
like the Wagyu of chickens.
The Wagyu of chickens.
Basically, that's what I heard. But we got it for free from a relative. And if you're watching, thank you so much. It was a Christmas gift.
Thank you, Uncle Randy.
Yes, thank you, Uncle Randy.
That's the River Rat's daddy.
Yeah, that's the River Rat's dad, his uncle.
Yeah. So you'll be seeing him around, and he actually does the cock-a-doodle-doo thing.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of that, his uncle's sons, his cousins, the River Rats, in real life, they're really, really nice people. Really nice. And one of them, for Christmas, he knitted me a scarf. I've been obsessed with it. It's a gray scarf. So in real life, they're really nice.
Yeah.
So
who would have thought a River Rat knows how to knit?
I know, right?
And thank you to the person that sent Arthur a Christmas card. And speaking of Christmas cards, we are still writing them. I think we got like 60-something left to still reply to. We're doing an amount of them each day to try to get them out. So if you haven't got it, please be patient. And we're sending everyone back. If the mail loses one, that's not our fault. We're sorry. We love you, but we are writing them all back.
Yeah.
So just be patient
Yep.
and, you know.
So what happened with that is on our Christmas tree video at the end of it, Alfred said we were up to date on the cards. We were on that day. On that day we were up to date. That was like a week and a half ago.
What you've seen up here, we have that much more.
We replied to all of them.
There's over 300 cards now.
Yeah, there's over 300 cards. So we took Christmas Eve off. We took Christmas Day off, obviously. Yeah. We had to spend it with our family. We weren't really thinking about anything else. And then after that, we go back to Candy Store, and that's our post office. That's our mailing address.
A mountain of...
There was a mountain, and this is after Christmas.
Yeah.
There was a mountain of cards there. So that's what we've been slowly chipping away at.
There's probably cards there today, but I'm not going in there until the end of this week.
We don't go to town every day, guys. We only go to town maybe once or twice a week.
Yep.
But just be patient with us. If you sent us a Christmas card on the later side and we didn't get it until after Christmas, we're replying to about 10 to 15 a day. But at that rate, it'll take us another week or two to get through all of them. So just be patient with us. We are replying. You will hopefully get it by no later than the end of January.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
I think that's about it
that's
as far as
guys.
all the updates. Other than we're in January now. The King's Ball is coming up. That's at the beginning of February. Don't forget about that. That is a great event to come to.
Less than a month.
Yeah, less than a month away. Oh, I did forget one more thing.
What is it, Ron?
I keep forgetting stuff.
What?
We had a casualty of war this past weekend.
What happened?
The pistol.
Oh my gosh!
The pistol got in a fire, and we didn't know it until it was maybe 5 minutes.
So, in the dark, a little pistol looks like a piece of wood.
I had it in a box that I had carried kindling down to start the fire for...
A cardboard box.
Yeah. And at the end, we were done filming, we said, hey, let's burn this box. So I just
threw the box without thinking, totally forgot that he put the pistol in the box.
We're standing there watching, because it's a big box. It's like an appliance-sized box. And so we wanted to make sure it didn't burn off into the cedar trees that were nearby. And so we're standing there for about 5 minutes.
Watching it burn.
Yes. And then my dad seized the pistol, kicks it out of the fire, and I just thought, you gotta be kidding me.
His dad said, hey son, your pistol's in the fire. And my first thought was he was joking.
Yeah,
I thought he was joking.
I thought he was joking too until he went over there and kicked it out, and I thought, oh no.
I thought, is this really happening right now? His pistol was in there for the whole dang time. Thankfully not loaded.
Good news is I had 2 pistols with me. One is one that I made the stock on, and the other one is one that I have purchased, and it's from the 1970s. It's always looked kind of bulky. I was picking them out before we filmed. I was like, you know what? I'll use the bulky one just in case I drop it in the mud in the field because it's dark out. Thankfully, it was that one and not the other one.
Not the handmade one.
New skills video idea for here on Frontier Patriot eventually is building a gun stock for the pistol. I've got to acquire some more historical tools. I've done a few gun stocks in my day, but they've been with modern tools, so I'm a modern woodworker. So in order for me to show it to you guys, as much of it as I can, I have to acquire some historical tools. I gotta come up with some kind of vise. I have to have a vise to hold the stock to do the chiseling in. I got the chisels and the files and all that junk, but I don't have a way to hold on to the piece of wood while I'm working.
Yes.
If I can figure that out, that'd be a video eventually. But
yeah, because he's a woodworker. He makes custom wood furniture, but he works with modern tools.
Yeah. So anyways, it's a sad day for props.
For props.
At the early
Man
American.
down. Very sad.
But
it could have been worse.
Could have been worse, yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's enough integrity of it left. I can take the measurements of it for the barrel, for the gap for the barrel laying there and stuff. But it's ruined.
It's charcoal.
It's charcoal. It's got the lines through it, so it's in bad shape.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm done.
Okay, well, on that note, guys, we're gonna head on out. Happy New Year's whenever you're watching this. Thank you for watching. Take care, everyone. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.